COVID vaccine safe and effective narrative collapses on camera. This is actually this is out of the Vigilant Fox. Why is it on this site? Here it is. Okay. The safe and effective narrative collapsed on camera during Senator Ron Johnson's explosive Senate hearing on COVID-19 vaccine injuries Wednesday afternoon. Senator Ron Johnson brought the receipts exposing how the Biden administration deliberately hid vaccine harms from the public. All accusations are the authors. Then Dr. James Thorpe, OBGYN, revealed miscarriage data so disturbing it left the room silent. This is the Senate hearing they never wanted you to see. I turned 3 hours of footage into a 5-minute read. So, yeah, go check it out there. But this is what's happening. This is in the news again. And I'm pretty sure that pharma is getting a little worried. I'm pretty sure that there's going to be problems and that we're going to see this proceed apace. We're not going to go through this whole article. I just wanted to kick this off with the fact that finally, after years, things look like they're happening, at least in as far as vaccines go. And Robert Malone, MD, tweeted this out: breaking COVID mRNA products removed from the CDC schedule. Historic announcement on May 27th. Common sense and good science. Again, not going to get into the details, but what I am going to do is give you a quick high level overview of some of our greatest vaccine hits before we talk about this latest set of polls. And I'm trying to emphasize here how much that we focused on this. Now, this is December 2022. This was not the first we polled on COVID. We did a lot about vaccine mandates and should they do, mask mandates. Should they shut down the schools? Are you going to get vaccinated or not? And our numbers pretty much held up with everybody else. You know, we were not tweaking to get the same 70 to 72% vaccination rate that everybody else did. So kind of weird that our vaccine numbers line up with other pollsters, but our political numbers do not. That's weird. Pretty weird. But we had done a lot of vaccine polling, and there was a lot of talk about people just sort of passing out on TV and dropping dead. I'm not accusing them of being related to vaccine injuries, but we wanted to poll to see what people said. And I think that this is roughly equivalent to the same thing that Rich did, roughly about the same time as well. But everybody else polling on the vaccines was literally only polling about, are you going to take the vaccine or not? That's it. That's all there was. Morning Consult got millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars. They polled like multiple millions of people over a year and a half, 2-year period, literally just about whether you're vaccinated or not. Now, maybe it was from their panel or something, but they spent a lot of money doing that, and they were having the contact with people. So they could have just added another question. And if they added another question, maybe it would have been one of these. So this is December 22. 56% of Americans think that the vaccine is effective at preventing infection with the virus, but only 26% very effective. How concerned are you that COVID-19 vaccines may have major side effects? Oh, wow. Right out of the gate. 57% concerned, but only 31% very, but that's still a lot. Middle-aged voters, probably because of the conservatism, but also women under 40. That's the thing. We were talking about those miscarriages, and this was a really big concern. Men under 40 were like, who cares? Well, invincibility syndrome probably. It's probably what's going on there, but women under 40 were really concerned. People, you posted in the comments, that's it, right? People are worried about the health ramifications for reproductive. 42% of Republicans very concerned, but also 21% of Democrats. So this was kind of a theme, is that the party signal isn't as much as you would expect, considering that the only places that you could hear about this stuff were like on Brianna Morello and War Room. But have you received a COVID-19 vaccine? Again, 68%. It got higher, but this was December of 22. And then here it is. Do you believe you have experienced major side effects, minor side effects, or no side effects from your COVID-19 vaccination? 7% say major. 34% say minor, 41% total of the vaccinated people. And you'll notice, again, it's relatively bipartisan, spread out among everybody. Not not a right and left thing. Not a function of the news. Pretty much, was there an age signal? Not really. 18 to 39-year-olds were more likely than 65 and older. And so this was fascinating because at the time they were talking about covering up the VAERS data, and there was implications potentially, I forget where, from VAERS maybe, that there was an 8%. Steve Kirsch said that he remembered back calculating an 8% in his Substack. And this was the first time that any pollster at all, tried to validate that major side effect rate. Now, it wasn't apples to apples because of the way we asked the question, yada, yada, yada. But it's like where there's smoke, there's fire. So, just a few weeks later, how likely is it that side effects of COVID-19 vaccines have caused a significant number of unexplained deaths? Half the country, 49% of all adults, 28% very likely, only 17% not at all likely. And again, a relatively bipartisan signal, a majority of Democrats and not a majority of independents. 56% of Republicans, 51% of Democrats. Wild. And this is, of course, you know, conservative and liberal mainstream media organizations left and right. We're all dodging these questions. Do you personally know anyone whose death you think may have been caused by side effects of COVID-19 vaccines? 28% say yes to that question. We've asked this question like 4 or 5 times now. Every single time it's been between 24 and like 30%. So that's what you call repeatable. I have a high confidence that if I polled again today, this number would be the same. And so any person could say, wow, that's interesting. Let's try and confirm that with a major scientific experiment. No, it's not going to happen. A plurality of Americans say there are legitimate reasons to be concerned about the safety of COVID-19 vaccines. But 37% say it's spreading conspiracy theories. So look at the date here, December 22. That was over 2 years ago. And the vaccine has been on the market this whole time. There's people that we asked, and people are still getting it. They're still getting the vaccine, and they're potentially being exposed to what many, I've got to be careful here, what many people believe to be an unsafe therapeutic. Vaccine safety, 57% want Congress to investigate the CDC. This was January 2023. So we definitely went on a vaccine polling kick once we realized, oh my Lord, that side effect one was a major wake up call. And so we polled so much on this. And the only people that paid attention were like literally McCullough, Malone, Kirsch, Bannon, and Emerald Robinson. That was really it. Brianna Morello. Nobody else cared. The Vigilant Fox covered us, a couple other people, but they weren't rushing to get us on Fox or Newsmax. I can tell you that. Real America's Voice, I think, might have covered some of this stuff. They certainly let me talk about it. Everybody lets me talk about it now. This is what got us on the GEC list of naughty boys, I think. How likely is it that the CDC has provided the public with complete information about the dangers? Only 29% very likely. What's that? 41% say not likely. Should Congress investigate how the CDC dealt with issues of COVID vaccine safety? 57% say yes, only 31% say no. We have not had that commission. So maybe we should get that going now. Trump team, Maha. Come on, Kennedy. Let's do it. Are you less concerned about COVID-19? No, that's not a good question. Here it is. Has any member of your household died from COVID-19? 11% yes. Has any member of your household died whose death you think may have been caused by side effects of the COVID-19 vaccines? 10%. Oh, wait, that's the same number. So the implication here is that just as many people say that a member of their household died from the vaccines as from the virus. And again, not a party signal. More young people, I think part of that is that like young people are probably maybe they're in bigger house. I don't know. They know a lot of people because they're at college. I don't know. But 16% of Republicans say from the virus, 13% from the vaccine. 12% of Democrats the virus, 15% of Republicans, 15% of Republicans the vaccine. So Republicans are more likely to say the vaccine than the virus than Democrats. It's flipped by a couple points, but it's like this is exactly the kind of signal that you would expect to see if there was something real going on. The young people, you know what it is? The young people is probably exposure to alternative media. I bet you that explains all of it. And here's another one. Nearly 1 in 5 people say they know somebody who died from the COVID-19 vaccine. It goes on and on. 19%. Yeah, this is the number. We had a 19. I think we had a 28, a 24, a 19. I think the 24 was next. I think we had a 32% too. That's repeatable. For a poll tuned into politics, an all adults American poll. I don't think we were adjusting for urban, suburban, rural, like that kind of thing. Probably not. We weren't adjusting for education or anything like that. So we would expect some swings. But there is a repeatable, significant chunk of Americans who think they know somebody who died from the vaccines. How likely is it that side effects of COVID-19 vaccines have caused a significant number of unexplained deaths? So this is like a year since we've been polling on vaccines now. 53% say likely, 30% very, only 36% say not likely. And yeah, the next one was 24. 24% think they know somebody personally. 54% now, an increased number. Remember, it was 48% last time. 54% say there are legitimate reasons to be concerned about the safety. So the problem was getting worse, not better. A lot of people were trying to bury it up. Oh, safe and effective. Totally fine. Just go get it. Go get it done so that you can keep your job. Only 33% say people who worry about the vaccine safety are spreading conspiracy theories. Only 1 in 3. And yet, ubiquitously, every mainstream media outlet spiked this. Every single freaking one. It's such an embarrassment. I don't know how anybody could ever believe them again. No matter how much you hate the mainstream media, it's not enough. I mean, this is like we're talking about people's lives here. How likely, again, is it that the side effects of the COVID-19 vaccines have caused a significant number of unexplained deaths? 55 going up, 30% very likely, 55% somewhat likely, down to 32%, less than 1 in 3 Americans who say it's not likely. Yeah, and this is just from 6 months ago. So it's not like people are forgetting. The numbers keep going up. That's the thing. It's like normally after a major thing like that, the numbers would moderate as they kind of are about, for instance, January 6th. The numbers about the vaccine keep getting worse. Yeah, there's that 28% handle. Do you personally know anyone whose death you think may have been caused by the effects of COVID-19 vaccines? So, and then we hit another plurality again, 48% legitimate reasons to be worried about the safety of COVID-19 vaccines. So never once were people outnumbering that said that the COVID vaccine safety things were a conspiracy theory, even though you had like CNN making fun of Joe Rogan for taking ivermectin. So here we are today. This is a good set. Now, we've done so much that maybe these aren't as over the top crazy as the other ones, but it's important because it fits in with the news today. Excuse me. Have you taken a COVID-19 vaccine or booster in the last 12 months? And 35% of American adults say yes. So about 35% of Americans are still getting vaxxed. 62% aren't. And you could say, well, okay, affluent white liberal women, maybe. Well, more men than women say yes to that question. And there's no age signal. So scratch that. Oh, no, there is. The boomers say more. So the boomers are more likely to still get this 43% to 54%. So it's still a majority who are not. Look at that 50 to 64% number. 70% say no. Men under 40 are still likely to say yes to that, probably because of their jobs. I'm guessing there, or their, it could be the military stuff, it could be police, it could be corporate America, or it could be, again, thinking that they're immune. Not much of a race signal at all. And 50% of Democrats are still getting vaxxed. So that was lower than I thought. 50% yes, 46% no. But 29% of Republicans still got vaxxed in the last year. That's crazy. More Republicans than independents got vaxxed in the last year. Married, children at home, no signal. High school dropouts are least likely to get vaxxed. Good for them. Graduate degrees are most likely by education to get a vaccine, 44%. Good, good for them. Upper incomes also most likely, but not as much of a signal. Yeah, I mean, that's crazy. Oh, excuse me. All right, so that was one of three questions here. Give me a second. Sorry, our website sucks. Should the COVID-19 vaccine continue to be offered commercially? This is why we asked it, because of that news that it wasn't being offered anymore to certain people. And even though only 35% are still getting vaxxed, here's the problem: 50% still say yes. That's really weird, because also remember that 50% think it's at least somewhat likely that the vaccine is causing a significant number of unexplained deaths. Now, obviously, you only get 34% no because there's a lot of not sures. But this is like an indication that even though people think that there are reasons to be concerned about the safety, there's also lingering expectations, which may or may not be founded, that the vaccine's actually effective at doing anything. We all know about how they do that flu shot every year and where it comes from. And across the board, pretty much everybody agrees by a plurality or a majority. Everybody, 66% of Democrats, but 39% of Republicans say, yeah, sure, keep selling it. It's wild. So this is one of those situations where often what you see on Twitter often or other places online matches the reality of the MAGA movement. But sometimes what's on Twitter does not match completely. Matches like, okay, but this is why we asked it. How likely is it that the COVID-19 vaccine has caused inflammation in the hearts of many vaccinated Americans? Myocarditis. Nobody had asked about this before. We didn't ask about it before either. It's kind of like crossing it off our punch list, but since it was in the news, we decided we'd ask about it. And nobody saw that Senate hearing that answered our poll, like very little Venn diagram overlap. But a majority of Americans think it's likely, 29% very likely, and 28% not likely. Only 12% not at all likely. So at the end of the day, this is a vote of non-confidence for the vaccines, but it's also a vote of non-confidence, in my opinion, for trust in the medical field. Now, that's really where I wanted to bring all this about institutional trust. And this brings us back to the same thing we've been talking about with everything else, which is like, okay, Trump made a lot of promises. He went to DC, tried to drain the swamp, fix our institutions, but this is going to be an epic, protracted battle. And it's almost like you can see that some people in the Trump administration don't understand the gravity. I saw, and okay, he's not in the administration, but he's pro MAGA. I saw the venture capitalist Joe Lonsdale out there getting mad at people on Twitter because they were unhappy that Palantir like is talking about how good it is at working together with our intelligence institutions to catch bad guys. kind of like the Patriot Act stuff. Like, oh, well, it's powerful, but it's never going to be used against you. And, people called him out and were suspicious. And he said, no, there are nothing but patriots that work for Palantir and the DOD. And all we do is catch bad guys. But just because you say it doesn't mean it's the truth. Just because Cash gets in there and says we're going to clean up the FBI doesn't mean that everybody believes him all of a sudden. And so when trust in institutions is lost, it has to be earned back. And it is not earned back with words. It can only be earned back with actions. And I think we need to see a lot more of these actions because actions speak not only to the voters who would like better politicians, actions also speak to bad actors, the moral degenerates, the thieves, the grifters, that they can't get away with their stuff. Some people just don't do the right thing because it's the right thing. They only do the right thing because they're afraid or because there's boundaries or because there's social mores. And when the Marxists undermine your society for decades, you reap the benefits of imploding society and moral degeneracy profligate. I think that's what we're seeing. And that's why I think this discussion again with we can get back to it or not with Glenn Greenwald is so important. It's not the kind of actions. It's just the fact that when people see that and they're like, that's abnormal. Don't say they're not allowed to have that opinion. You might still believe Glenn Greenwald, but a hell of a lot of people are not. And that's a valid thing for them because you know what? It is abnormal. Is it right or it's wrong? I'm not going to get into the Bible because the Bible says that. You know what I mean? But the problem is it's like, okay, well, if our reporters do that, what about the reporter's boss? What about other corporate leaders? What about our state, local elected leaders? What about leaders in police, military? Are they allowed to do that stuff too? It's just in their bedroom, just a little stuff in their bedroom. It's just consenting adults. And then you get into our elected representatives, our major business CEOs, our intel leaders, just a little bit of bedroom stuff. And then it's just a little bit of wetting our beak with kickbacks or USAID money. It's basically the slippery slope. And it wasn't started again by the LGBT movement. It was started by what's the name? The Chesterson's fence. Just because you don't know why that fence is there doesn't mean you should smash it down. Just because society has mores and values doesn't mean you should take a hatchet to them because if they've been there for 1,000 years, they're probably there for a reason. You know what I mean? And that's the problem with where we're at because, in my opinion, executive leadership and legal authority is not adequate to clean up the level of corruption that we have in every aspect of our society. It's not enough. So, what we need is a multi factor approach where the church is more aggressive and stronger and resurgent, one, and where society, people, humans are a lot less agreeable and open to these kinds of things being accepted. It's just the case. Just if people are like people need to be ridiculed about having stupid, intellectually dishonest takes, in my opinion. That's one way. If you do that, here's just an example. Again, I'm not taking any specific thing. But if you hear somebody reason with you and you're like, oh, well, that's really stupid. I almost think you have a moral authority for the future of humanity to call them out, make them learn from their mistake or ridicule them because maybe someday the humiliation will be too great. But we were talking about trust. This is all about trust. This whole thing is about failing institutional trust and trying to re earn it. And only some of that is politics. And public opinion is not just politics. It's about the laws that govern how humans interact, right? So I pulled this out from 2017. And the reason I did it, it was pre COVID. And I don't have apples to apples here, but it'll give you an idea. directionally of what COVID and the Biden administration through COVID and our federal regulators and corporate CEOs perpetrated on the American people. Because the American people deserve to trust people. Let me say that. They deserve to be able to put their trust in experts, in leaders, in their partners and family members. And they didn't have across the board trust in everything for all of humanity or recent history, let alone recent history. But this question, trust your doctor. Do you trust your doctor? And of the people who regularly see a doctor, 93% say yes. That's a high level of trust. So people know their doctor and trust them. And you can say, all right, there's selection bias here. They found the doctor. Yeah, yes, 100%. But this is what numbers should look like. This is what every one of my numbers should look like. Everybody should agree that things are good. Okay? That's what the goal is here. It's not like I want things to be 51-49. I want voters to be super happy. Congress should be getting 100% excellent report cards, and instead they get like 11% excellent. So that's bad trust. Or good trust, sorry. That's good trust. Let's go to bad trust. This is post-COVID. This is from just a year ago. And again, not the same question. In terms of your own healthcare decisions, which is closer to your attitude? It's safe to trust the advice from experts, only 35%. That it's important to do your own research, 58%. This is an appalling level of trust in the health industry leaders and regulators, destroyed by COVID and the Biden administration. Horrifying numbers. You can't just make that reverse. It might take decades. Imagine seeing on TV a pharmaceutical or medical CEO and being able to like wholeheartedly engage with their message and trust what they're saying. What would that even look like? How do we get there? I'm pretty sure that was, the scenario for some parts of our recent history. I think a lot of people did trust corporate leaders. They might not have liked the people like Carnegie and Rockefeller all the way at the top, the fat cats, right? But look at after World War II, there was a revolving door between the GIs that fought the war and came back and were leading manufacturing companies and new services companies and opening businesses everywhere. It's like people trust them and it's all gone. So I don't know. I thought that was profound because we don't talk about that one a lot. We talk about dying trust in the media, dying trust in the federal government. Yep. The health industry as well. And what are the ramifications? Well, the health industry is like 22% of our GDP or something like that. And it will be the reason that we go bankrupt. So when our dollar implodes and we have that debt spiral, we have that collapse of the currency, it will be fair to say, in my opinion, that it will be due to the promises made by the government because of health care. And going into it, people will have not trusted those people for probably years before it happens. Not a good setup. Not a good setup for things to become bad. And hopefully they can fix it. Like hopefully there's an easy path out of this, but I don't know. Getting to the point where it looks like there's no easy decisions. Otherwise, Congress wouldn't be doing what they're doing right now. If you've learned something, please follow us at rasmussenreports.com, Rasmussen_poll at Twitter. Follow us on YouTube. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Mark_R_Mitchell at Twitter. And thanks for watching.